He thought she was just a waitress with a pretty smile, until 5 words in another language changed everything. The diner was half empty, the kind of place that smelled like burnt coffee and pancakes at 3 p.m. Emily balanced 2 plates on one arm, scribbling down another order with the other. Her brown hair was pulled into a messy bun, her sneakers scuffed, but her smile never faded, even when the tips were short and the customers rude. At table 6 sat a man in an expensive suit, scrolling through his phone like the world owed him something. His Rolex caught the sunlight. His tone didn't match the setting. "I said no onions. You got that, sweetheart?" he said without looking up. Emily nodded calmly, even though he had said onions, and she had written it down. "I'll get that fixed for you." As she walked away, the man scoffed. "Waitresses these days smile pretty, but not much going on upstairs." The businessman across from him chuckled. Another suit, another gold watch. "Careful," he joked. "What if she's smarter than she looks?" That lit something in the CEO's eyes. "If she's so smart, then translate this." He pulled up a foreign news article on his phone, written entirely in Russian. "Let's see if she even knows what language it is." Emily returned with the new plate, setting it down with her usual kindness. "Hey, miss," the CEO said, tilting the screen toward her. "You recognize this? Should be easy, right?" She glanced at the screen, calm as ever. "Russian. Do you want a full translation or just the headline?" The table went quiet. The CEO blinked. Emily leaned in, reading fluently. "Tech giant accused of bribing officials in overseas deal. CEO denies wrongdoing." She straightened up, her voice still sweet. "Would you like me to read the rest?" The color drained from his face. Because that headline wasn't just any story, it was about him. The air around the table went heavy. The second man, his colleague, stopped chewing his gum. The CEO stiffened, narrowing his eyes. "Where'd you learn to read that?" he asked, tone sharper now. Emily just smiled lightly. "You pick things up when you're working nights and paying your way through school." He leaned back in his seat, suddenly unsure. "What school?" "MIT," she replied, sliding a refill of coffee next to his untouched water. "Double major, linguistics and computer science. Took Russian and Mandarin to fill my electives. Thought they might come in handy." The other man burst out laughing, but not in mockery, in disbelief. "You're telling me you're an MIT grad? Working here?" Emily tucked her pen behind her ear. "Student loans don't care about diplomas, and sometimes the best way to understand people is from behind a counter." The CEO's jaw clenched. "You could have corrected me earlier." "I could have," she said softly. "But I wanted to see how long it'd take you to realize intelligence doesn't always wear a suit." She didn't say it with bitterness, just calm, collected grace. Then she nodded and turned to walk away. But the CEO wasn't done. "Wait." She stopped. "You read the headline," he said slowly. "But that story, that wasn't published in the US. How'd you find that one?" Emily didn't turn around. "I didn't. You showed it to me," she said. Then added, without looking back, "But maybe next time, don't go waving around articles that haven't hit American news yet. Someone might wonder where you got it from." Now his face went pale. Because that article, leaked in a foreign press, was supposed to be buried. Confidential. And she had just cracked it open like it was the daily crossword. The CEO looked at his phone again. But all he could see was her. The next morning, Emily showed up for her shift like any other day. Same apron, same scuffed sneakers, same booth regulars who called her kiddo and tipped in quarters. But something had changed. When she walked into the break room, her manager, Rita, looked up with wide eyes. "Em, there's a guy in a suit waiting at counter 3. Says he wants to talk to you. Didn't order a thing." Emily's stomach turned. "Let me guess. Expensive watch? Tighter smile than usual?" Rita nodded. "Looks like he eats money for breakfast." Emily walked out slowly, heart steady. There he was, the CEO from the day before, not in his usual arrogance, but quiet, thoughtful. His phone was on the counter, screen dark, hands clasped, eyes a little tired. "I owe you an apology," he said the second she approached. She tilted her head. "For what? The onions or the insult?" "Both," he admitted, then paused. "And for underestimating you." Emily leaned against the counter. "It happens more often than you think." He took a breath. "I looked you up. You're not easy to find." "I like it that way." "Well," he said, setting a business card on the counter. "I don't usually do this, but I'm launching a language-based AI tool next quarter. I could use someone who understands both sides, tech and words. We're hiring." Emily looked down at the card. A C-suite title. Direct contact. No assistant. No forms. She didn't touch it. "Thanks," she said. "But I'm not sure your world's built for people like me." The CEO hesitated. "Maybe not. But maybe it needs people like you." He stood, straightened his jacket. "Offer's open. Whether you take it or not, I won't forget what you did yesterday." Emily gave a polite nod and cleared his untouched water glass. As he walked out, Rita came up behind her, whispering, "Was that a job offer?" Emily shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe he just wanted to see what humility looks like up close." But even as she returned to the kitchen, she slipped the card into her back pocket. Not because she needed it, but because she earned the right to choose. That night, after her shift ended, Emily sat at her small kitchen table, staring at the business card. The apartment was quiet, just the hum of the fridge and the ticking of the wall clock. She could still smell bacon grease in her hair. Her feet ached. Her tips barely covered groceries for the week. She turned the card over. Sleek. Embossed. Her name didn't belong on it, but for the first time, that thought didn't sting. On her fridge were 2 magnets holding up her old MIT acceptance letter. Below it, a printed copy of her student loan balance. She had been juggling both for years. Dreams in one hand, reality in the other. She picked up her phone and called someone she hadn't spoken to in months. "Mom?" she said when the voice answered. "You still think I could have been more than a waitress?" Her mom sighed, gently. "Emily, you've always been more. The world's just slow to notice." Emily smiled, fighting a lump in her throat. "They noticed yesterday." The next morning, she walked back into the diner with her head held a little higher. The regulars were there. Rita gave her a nod and slid her the usual apron. But before Emily could tie it on, she paused. She pulled the business card from her pocket and set it on the counter. "I won't be finishing my shift today," she said softly. Rita blinked. "You sure?" Emily smiled, eyes shining. "Yeah, I think it's time." As she walked out the door, the city felt different. Not smaller, not louder, just possible. She wasn't leaving behind the diner because it wasn't good enough. She was stepping forward because she finally believed she was.